Ever wondered why, no matter how carefully a budget is followed, the money always seems to vanish before the month ends? There's a spreadsheet, there's a plan, there's even that highlighter for the non-negotiables. But still, the account bleeds. Bills are paid, but there's never any real progress. The savings account looks like it's on life support, investments are a maybe later, and somehow, even after cutting back on lattes and weekend takeout, financial stress just doesn't go away. This isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous. Because the very thing people trust to help them, the budget, might actually be the thing that's quietly keeping them broke. Sounds wild? Stick around. Because this video is going to unpack how the wrong budgeting mindset is trapping millions in the cycle of paycheck-to-paycheck living, and the simple shift in formula that flips the whole thing on its head. Most people are taught budgeting like it's a discipline of self-control. Start with income. Subtract expenses. Try not to cry when the leftover is just enough for an emergency noodle stash. It's sold as a mathematical equation, as if money is this obedient creature that will behave as long as it's penned inside a tidy table of numbers. But here's the problem. Budgeting the usual way treats money like it has no personality, no chaos, no surprise factor, which anyone who's ever owned a car or gotten sick in a random month knows is completely unrealistic. So why do so many still cling to this spreadsheet mindset? Because it feels responsible. It feels like control. It gives the illusion of order in a chaotic financial world. But illusions can be dangerous. A budget built only to manage expenses ends up managing survival, not growth. It turns into a tool that prioritizes bills first, goals last. And that's where the trap begins. Here's a scenario. Someone earns a decent income, enough to cover rent, utilities, food, even the occasional night out. They follow a strict budget. Every dollar is assigned, every purchase tracked. But year after year, there's no real progress. No emergency fund with teeth, no big moves, no wealth being built. The scary part? That's not because they're bad with money. It's because they're playing by rules designed for a completely different game. Traditional budgeting is about control, but it's not about strategy. It doesn't make room for intention. It's reactive, not proactive. It focuses on cutting rather than growing. It treats the income as the ceiling, instead of asking how that ceiling can be raised, or better yet, cracked wide open. And the biggest flaw? It puts saving and investing at the end of the equation, as something that happens if there's money left. But let's be honest, there's never anything left. Because expenses always expand to fill the income. The lifestyle creeps, the unexpected sneaks in, and the leftover becomes a myth. That's the conflict. That's the quiet failure no one talks about. Now imagine turning that entire model upside down. What if the formula wasn't income minus expenses equals savings, but rather income minus savings equals expenses? This isn't just a math trick, it's a mindset revolution. Suddenly, saving is not a maybe. It's a line item, a priority, a bill that must be paid, just like rent or electricity. And expenses, they have to shrink to fit the leftovers. This is the formula that separates those who survive from those who build. It forces intention. It creates limits, not on what's possible, but on what's wasteful. It means money is being put to work before it ever gets a chance to disappear. Think of it like a chef prepping for a meal. Instead of cooking whatever's in the fridge and hoping it turns out okay, they start with the dish they want to create, then shop accordingly. That's the power of reversing the formula. It doesn't just feed the moment, it builds something. The old way of budgeting is like eating leftovers of your own paycheck. But the money first rule, paying your future self first, changes the dynamic completely. When that first chunk of income immediately goes into a savings account, or gets invested, or covers that next big move, it does something psychological. It rewires behavior. It tells the brain, this is the standard now. Even if it starts small, 10%, 5%, or whatever amount is manageable, the discipline of doing it first makes all the difference. Not what's left, not what might be left, but first. Suddenly, instead of constantly reacting to the demands of bills and impulse and monthly madness, money starts serving a mission. That's when things shift from defense to offense. And ironically, people who operate this way often feel freer, even with fewer disposable dollars. Because now there's progress. Now there's purpose. Now there's control that isn't fake. This isn't just theory. Studies have shown that when people automate savings treated as non-negotiable, their net worth grows significantly faster than those who try to save what's left. Behavioral economists call it pre-commitment bias. The idea that decisions made ahead of time are stronger than those made in the heat of the moment. Just like food prepped in advance leads to healthier meals, money pre-allocated for the future leads to wealthier outcomes. And here's what's wild. People with lower incomes who use this reversed formula often outperform higher earners who still budget the traditional way. Because it's not about how much comes in. It's about what gets prioritized. Think of a leaking bucket. Pouring more water in doesn't help if the holes aren't sealed. But flipping the formula? That's patching the leak before anything else goes in. Of course, this isn't easy. No change worth making ever is. Reversing the budget formula means making tough calls, saying no to certain comforts, resisting lifestyle upgrades just because income went up, watching others spend freely while choosing discipline instead. But here's what's tougher. Staying in the same financial place year after year, living on a treadmill that never moves forward, feeling like progress is always just one more raise away, but never arriving. The hardest part of this formula is at the beginning, when it feels like sacrifice. But over time, it stops being about cutting and starts being about building, and that's the key difference. Because budgeting isn't about restriction, it's about direction. And when savings lead the way, everything else follows with more clarity. So what's the formula that fixes a budget that's keeping people poor? Simple. Pay your future self first. Live on what's left. Every financial plan, every smart money decision, every wealth-building move, it starts here. This is the blueprint. The traditional budget has had its time. But it's not built for real growth, it's built for survival. And survival isn't enough anymore. In a world where prices rise faster than incomes and financial freedom feels further and further away, a different strategy is needed. One that starts with intentionality, not just math. It's not about cutting coffee or never eating out. It's about flipping the priority, making you the first bill that gets paid, and letting the rest work around that decision. Because no one ever got rich by budgeting perfectly, but plenty got rich by saving consistently. So if the current budget isn't working, maybe it's not you, maybe it's the formula. Time to fix it.